Are you struggling with your art program and realize that after spending years, you need to switch? That's me. I've spent 5 years in Procreate, and I decided just recently to get Clip Studio Pro. So what was really holding me back with Procreate? All the illustrations you see on screen are the roughly 5 years that I have spent on making a handful of background illustrations, and obviously I can't show you the entirety of the gallery, and this video is focused on backgrounds for a reason. I've made a Webtoons comic, and I've done 3 revisions for it. I've gotten essentially 10 episodes, as Webtoons calls them, but most of the backgrounds, the buildings especially, the backgrounds, have the biggest weakness. On top of that, the writing and pacing and all of that, if you look at the timestamps, the first episode was posted in 2020. Then 2021, a whole year later, the next one, and then 2022 had 5 uploads in total, 2023 2, and then a hiatus. What happened? Firstly, time management happened. Secondly, programming issue. Procreate doesn't seem to be that well suited for comics, and I tried my darndest because I kept seeing Clip Studio is perfect for comic artists. Buy it for flat price on a computer, or pay monthly if you're like me on a tablet. I got the 1-year one instead of paying per month because I wanted to give it a thorough testing. Now, you'll notice that I'm sketching in Procreate, but after I finished this particular sketch in the background, I switched to Clip Studio. This is not the only illustration. You'll see at the end the difference of the illustrations that I was able to do within about a week of Clip Studio, and why I'm so ecstatic to say that I really should have done the switch a bit sooner. So why didn't I? Firstly, from 2020 up to 2023, I was bouncing between the US and the UK until I could officially move to the UK to be with my husband. I was looking for a new job, and around 2024, my schedule finally settled somewhere stable. Essentially, I was having random days of work, so a lot of appointments, a lot of just shopping and other general basics of living. So it took me a while to figure that out. On top of that, if you know me and all of the YouTube videos that you've seen beforehand, I used to be making 10 videos a month. That's a lot. That's too many. And I shrunk them down to 2 videos each month to give me time to be able to make batches of pages for my comic and other things that I have learned through trial and error. See, I tried to do it on my own. As a self-taught digital artist, I just kind of looked up general information and then looked to see what worked best for me, and just kind of kept on the roll with it. Got too much in a comfort zone, which ended up messing with me a little too much, and now I'm testing something new, but using all of the techniques that I've learned from Procreate. And it reminds me of when I switched from Metabang Paint to, well, Procreate, and now Clip Studio, going from free to a flat-priced software to now a pay-per-year, in my case, software. Though I could have paid per month and just given it a month or two's test with the free trials that they provide, I wanted to do the whole year for it because I figured I'm gonna get my money's worth out of it, I can afford it, and I also really needed that whole basics that Clip Studio Pro offers. I was considering EX, but I don't need all the extra fancy multiple pages for comics that it provides and other assets when Clip Studio Pro provides the basic bare bones of everything that I need. And I wanted to do it all on my iPad because this is essentially like an investment that I had 5 years ago. And it's still something that I still use to this day, where I don't ever want to get rid of it because of how much it was when I first got it. And there's nothing wrong with my iPad or the software or even the techniques that I was using, the tools and the techniques. It was just a case of it just wasn't working for what I needed it for. Basically, that whole optimism versus realism side was kicking in. And if any of you have struggled with this, you'll know that with Webtoons, making one singular page is 800 by 1280 pixels for a single page. Now, most people will post 1 page each week. It'll take a while to get your comic out there, but for my case, I was essentially going to have each of the quote episodes. Each post was going to be about 10 pages or so that way it was worth the wait of 1 upload per month. But if I can get my Webtoons comic in bulk batches of pages and then start posting, but then work on a couple pages each week, it would make it so much easier for me. On top of that, still being able to make an illustration and a Wednesday video, because I have Sunday speed paints designated for these types of videos. Talking about what's on screen, or talking about a story, or just something that I can share with you all, art challenges, and then some. My Wednesday videos still stick to if I feel able to do an animation meme, an animatic, a sketchbook tour, all that fun stuff. And occasionally showing off art alongside of video games if I feel it is applicable. I went from having about nearly 600 YouTube videos down to almost 300 now, because many of them were irrelevant. I spent 5 years on making so many different illustrations and working on refining different things, but even with the few backgrounds that you saw at the beginning of this video that I had done, I just felt like some of it just wasn't working. You could get that art style envy feeling. I was looking at all these people who could use Procreate. A lot of them were working so smoothly with it, and even though I was using the same tools as them, even purchasing the tools, they said, hey, I know that there's not like a whole lot with the free brushes, so I made my own. Here's some really crisp line art ones, here's some really cool blending brushes. All of those only had so much that I could do because I'm not them. They developed that specifically for them. You'll see hundreds, especially on TikTok, of videos saying the perfect brush for line artwork, the perfect blending brush. Test for yourself. I cannot stress this enough, because when I received many of the free Clip Studio brushes right off the bat, it was just not working for me, so I had to keep shuffling through them until I erased like a bunch of them from the like brush settings, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna test each and every single one of them, adjust the stability, adjust the blending modes, everything until I am comfortable with it. That is what this illustration in the background was for. After I did a handful of quick tests for backgrounds, I wanted to make sure that I could do characters. And also with the interior of this particular piece, I wanted to add all the detail. Because I could have stopped at flat coloring and basic shading and highlighting, but I wanted to focus on the other areas that I had been avoiding in Procreate because of the limitations I personally had experienced from the 5 years that I had put into it. A lot of the neglected skills was just me trying to refine my OCs for my comic. I needed reference sheets, I needed a lot of the story, I needed a lot of things, but I also needed the environments, so all of that motivation became burnout, art block, and decision paralysis. I was freaking out, and it wasn't healthy. Once I ended up actually sorting out work, chores, and all the free time that I had essentially 3 mandatory work days and 4 that I could dedicate to what I needed, be it going grocery shopping or other appointments, but most of that time, even when time blocking throughout the day, was me waking up and doing the whole decision paralysis until the end of the day, and then blinking and it's like, I'm back in the building again! I just had inefficiency with everything. It was making my goals harder to achieve despite everything that I was trying. And I feel like holding myself back just led to the void just crushing me. If you haven't seen some of those videos where it was just the void, that's because every time that the void had appeared, especially last year during Art Fight, it was just me sinking further and further with all of the doubts and confusion, and the realistic, pessimistic side was just crushing the optimism. My inner critic was crushing my inner child so that I couldn't enjoy what I was doing as much as I thought I was. I knew that there was realistic work that needed to be done in order to make sure that my ideas weren't just ideas and stuck in my head, because I could daydream all I want to about the perfect animatics, the perfect animation memes, perfect illustrations, and so forth, but if I don't actually put in the time and effort into actually focusing, paying attention, and doing the studies, I'm not gonna learn or do or produce any of it. It's just gonna be a funny little thought in my head or a cool story idea that I can share very easily, but it's just concepts and thoughts. It's not actually produced concept works and illustrations. It's the difference of those splash art pieces that you see, full comic pages, full like everything. It's just those quick sketch ideas like thumbnails and just drafts. A lot of it I want to produce and share, but there's also the limited amount of time for everything. Realistically, I cannot make fan artwork for everything that I'm a fan of, on top of making all of my original characters, unless I just started blitzing out artwork. Overall, the technical skills and fundamentals of artwork can only get me so far unless I have proper time management, organization, and prioritizing the illustrations that I choose to work on. I need to take breaks from time to time, not overthink, and focus so that I do not zone out, minimizing my distractions and sticking with my plans so that I can continue producing high-quality videos, illustrations, and hopefully taking my comic off hiatus in time after a bunch of batch pages are done. Working with the illustrations you see on screen here was just my first tests. I still haven't figured out which are my favorite and least favorite brushes. I'm sure that there will be a lot more trial and error as I continue learning on my art journey with Clip Studio Paint Pro now in my archive of tools to use, but I also wanted to realistically share with you all the beginnings of me using Clip Studio and where it'll go to from here. As of right now, I can't say I'll stop using Procreate entirely, but I don't know what that'll be after testing Clip Studio Paint Pro for a year. We'll have to see. Only time will tell. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them down below, and thank you all so much for making it to the end of today's video. It means the world to me and lets YouTube know that you like my content and want to see more of it. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so very much. If you have not already, don't forget to leave some likes and comments and subscribe to join the Subscribblers squad. In the meantime, don't forget to check out some of my playlists, and if you would like any fan artwork featured at the end of the video in the Subscribblers gallery, tag me in it. I would love to see what you guys make. And if you'd like to support my works and see more, check out my card link below, especially for the patron exclusive rewards. £2 a month, the Fennec Fox tier gets you access to secret sketches and artwork early. The Arctic Foxes, for £5 a month, you get exclusive access to videos and webtoons pages early, and the Red Foxes have the opportunity to be featured as a background character or a commission instead, and your name read out at the end of the videos just like this. Thank you so much to Frankie Jr. 13. Stay possum, Subscribblers, and I'll see you real soon.